Hi everybody, Dan Illman here taking a look at the feature race at Hawthorne on Saturday. It is race number 7, the $100,000 Hawthorne Derby. 3-year-olds going 1.125 miles on the turf. Let's take a peek at this field. It is a competitive group. You've got several excellent trainers with horses that are coming up in class in sharp form. I think they want to see what they got from a stakes standpoint. Do they have a stakes horse or not? And a couple of other excellent trainers with horses that might be just a little bit off form, and they're trying to find their way back and see where they are, if these horses will need further dips in class down the road. The pace is going to be key to this race, I believe. And we throw up the Timeform US pace projector. The 4 American Mayhem does have speed, but it's not like he's a true burner. 3 starts back, he actually missed the break and came from way out of it to win, so he can adapt to any sort of pace situation. I do believe the number 1 Camp David is going to be aggressively ridden from the inside post position to, if not secure the lead, secure a good spot saving ground while just in behind what should be a fair to moderate pace. Let's talk a little bit more about the number 1 Camp David. This is a horse that was purchased for $130,000 over the summer and sent to trainer Michael Maker. And as we've said many times on our DRFTV videos, when Maker gets a horse, usually off the claim, and switches surfaces, these horses often immediately make hay. Well, it didn't work out that way for Camp David, who made his first start on the turf in his first start for Maker, the Gunrunner Stakes at Kentucky Downs. But I think he deserves a mulligan for that effort. He drew a very tough outside post position that day, chased a pretty quick pace, and then tired very badly over a course that's demanding. That Kentucky Downs course with the European configuration and the dips and dives and various turns, it can be intimidating, especially for a lightly raced horse. The fact that Maker is back in this stakes race, he's not dissuaded by the poor running line, makes me think he believes in this horse somewhat. And with his good early speed, I believe he can be close to the pace. He's 8-1 on the morning line and can work out a nice trip. The 2 Speaking Scout is a horse that I think is really dirtied up. He looked good winning over the spring at Keeneland, and ever since then, nothing's really gone right for him. He didn't break well at Churchill Downs in the Audubon Stakes, a race in which he was bet down to 6-1. He had a brutal trip in the Grade 3 Kent 3 starts back. Not only was he bumped at the start in a race where he was wired, but he then pulled his way up and was in tight after the first quarter mile, and then was completely stymied down on the rail in behind horses from the 5/16 pole to the 16th pole. By the time he got out, the race was over. He then got washed off the turf at Laurel, and last time out of Kentucky Downs, he made a big mid-race move from a tough outside post position before ultimately tiring over that testing course. He has excuses. The question is, how many excuses do you want to make for a horse that's going to be relatively low on the tote? He's 3-1 on the morning line. You can make excuse after excuse after excuse, but one of these days Speaking Scout's going to have to pay off. Blinkers come off for trainer Graham Motion, and I believe he has a little bit more tactical speed than he's shown in his recent races. Xavy Dave, the 3, is an interesting contender coming down from Canterbury. Let's watch his last race, the Blair's Cove for Minnesota breds, and he got wired by a horse that just was able to have the best of it on the lead. They went very slow, 24-3, 49-2, and Xavy Dave tried to rally from out of it, and rally he did. He finished an excellent second ahead of 2 next out winners, one that scored with an 82 buyer on turf, one with an 85 buyer on dirt. Xavy Dave now has to deal with tougher competition, but he is in sneaky good form. He'll also need some pace, because it looks like he is a late running type that really needs pace and a little bit of trip luck as well. He is in sneaky good form, however, and I do believe that at a price you can utilize him on the bottom of single race exotics. In many ways, the 4 American Mayhem is the key to this race. Most recent start, the Gunrunner at Kentucky Downs, where he finished a fine third as the beaten favorite. This race coming on the heels of a breakout performance at Ellis Park, his second consecutive victory at Ellis, and he won his first 2 starts on turf. In that Ellis race, 2 starts back, he broke sharp, but then he rated very kindly and let another horse blow out to the lead. American Mayhem re-engaged that horse and went right on by. He ran just fine, went third in the Gunrunner. The key for him is going to be distance. Does he really want to go 1.125 miles? His sire McLean's Music has sired a Preakness winner, but I think he's more known for middle-distance sprinty types. American Mayhem can get close to a moderate pace, and that might help him navigate the trip. Tonka Warrior is the number 5. This horse won at Canterbury on dirt last time out, but I want to go back to his race on the turf 3 starts back, where he took advantage of a very fast pace in an allowance race that day, and he comes from the outside to win and beats a couple of next out winners. He looked pretty good in that spot, and this is a very lightly raced horse that's only been off the board once in his career. It is a big step up in class. I have a lot of respect for the Hugh Robertson barn. Tonka Warrior might sit a mid-pack trip. And Courage is in excellent form for Ken McPeak. This is going to be his stakes debut, and it just looks like the right spot for them to try it. He's won both of his races on turf, both down in Kentucky. Distance isn't going to be a problem, as he scored at 1 mile and 5/16 last time out. And what I liked about both of his wins, both with Lasix on, is the heart he showed and the determination, because he really had to fight to win photo finishes both times. He did have a very good trip in his last race at Kentucky Downs, tucking in behind the leaders and saving ground, and then eventually making a nice move to the front. And Courage is a horse with a good burst of speed, some heart, and some upside, and he must be considered. Wicked Genius is the number 7, and this horse was claimed by Maker for $50,000 3 starts back, and guess what? He stretched him out, he switched surfaces, he's won 2 in a row. Wicked Genius's win last time out's one we can show you. It's a $50,000 starter allowance race at Kentucky Downs, going 1 mile. He came from off of it to win. This is a big step up, though. 4 horses have already come back from this race at Kentucky Downs that we just showed you. None have hit the board, a best buyer speed figure of 72, but it looks like Maker has found out what Wicked Genius wants to do, and that's run at least middle distances on the turf. The 8 is Protonic Power, a horse moving from dirt to turf and adding blinkers, so you have some angles there at a price. 2 starts back at Ellis Park, he finished ahead of a couple of next out winners, one with a 77 buyer on dirt, one with an 80 on turf, a race in which he didn't have a lot of pace to rally into. I'm not sure he's the best pure closer in this race, but he was compromised by the lack of pace in that race 2 starts back. That race was also a condition claimer, so this is a big step up. Ben's Malice completes the field. He comes out of that Xavy Dave race, and like Ben's Malice, he really had no chance. Not only was he well behind the slow pace, but he was very, very wide throughout, and it's just so hard to make up ground when the leader is going slow and saving all the ground. His prior race on dirt is okay, and he actually hit the board in the Mystic Lake Derby, an open stakes race going 1 mile 4 starts back. He did so at a big price, but talk about one-run closers. Ben's Malice has no early speed and is going to need some help up front. You can go several different ways in this race, but I think the 4 American Mayhem still has a little bit of upside, and I like the fact that he can stay close to the pace. This distance is a question mark. I think the 6 Courage is really a horse on the come right now. He's won both races on turf, and I think he'll be in the thick of things when they turn for home. It's a fun race. American Mayhem, my pick, and the Hawthorne Derby on Saturday. Good luck.